Hello everybody, hello, welcome to the Gaz Williams Show with my very special guest, Mr. George Hearn.
Hello. Hello. Hi guys.
Hello. So we have got a really interesting show for you tonight, everybody. We've got the Super 6 in front of us. Now this Super 6 has recently had the changed key bed to the new Super Touch 49. So that's a Polyphonic aftertouch key bed, so which is amazing. But we're also going to look at the brand new ribbon controller. What's it? The RB1, which is
RBN1.
RBN1. Sorry.
Excuse me.
So yes, so we'll look at that. We'll look at how you connect it, and we've had to just put some new firmware in, which will be wider available, which helps enable the facility of that. All of that will be coming along shortly. Just want to say hello to everybody who's watching us live. We're now streaming in 3 locations. We are going to Facebook, into X at the moment, although I probably will leave that one soon, and of course YouTube. So
and can even recognise the names in there.
Oh yes, yeah. Let's see who.
Jervis.
Yeah, Jason Jervis. Get Jervis. Yes. Hello. And we've got our guest from
Ryan Saunders.
Yeah, Ryan Saunders, yeah. And I did see him earlier. We got Mr. James Glue with us, and also I did see him somewhere. Where is he gone? Mr. Tom Curtin, who was the guest here a couple of weeks ago. Who Tom, of course, had been working with Polyend on the patches for the new Polyend synth. So hello everybody. Hello Dilip Funbar, Sloon. Who else have we got? We got some more people joining us. So yes. So I think we will press on. For those of you who long-term watchers, I have taken the plunge with StreamYard. So I've gone pro with StreamYard. So hopefully all of those issues in the past will all be cured. The magic of money, that is, George. You see, actually paying for something, not using the free service.
That's how they get you, and then you're going to have to. It's a freemium to begin with. And you're going to have to pay a little bit more for a little bit more for a little bit more.
So yeah, but took advantage of though the Black Friday. They are doing it as a Black Friday deal. So lots of good Black Friday deals going on at the moment, especially in software. Anyway, right, just a little overview then of tonight. So we're going to, as I say, we're going to be looking at the ribbon controller, the multi-touch, the Polyphonic aftertouch on here. But there's a few other things I want to look at as well. I've got my beloved Oxy One here plugged in, and I wanted to show George a few of the little sequencing things that I've been messing around with. And sequencing the Super 6 with the Oxy One, and that's some quite good fun things there with the chord mode and the stochastic mode. And then we've also got the Super 6 going into the Nightverb from Erica Synths, which I know many of you are aware of this now. It is a really splendid reverb, but it's a reverb that really wants you to twiddle and tweak. And reverbs generally don't like being tweaked much live. They can click and glitch, and changing the size often will make it clicky noises and stuff. Not with the Nightverb. It's beautifully smooth to use, and so there isn't a reverb on the Super 6, although there's a fun delay. So actually, though, it is something that does complement the Super 6 very well. So
absolutely,
yeah, we'll have a play around with that too.
Did you see the nice little jam that Nick Bat did?
No.
Where he did. He had a Nightverb and a Gemini, and did a nice little performance. It was really good. One of the Friday fun videos.
Right, but he has just over at Sonic State though. There's a new video just been posted though of his review of the Super 8.
Yes, yeah. I think it literally just went up yesterday. Yesterday.
Yeah. So he's certainly enamoured with that, which is always good. Okay, then. So pressing on then. So what do you fancy, Super Touch, or should we get straight to the action with the ribbon controller? Your call.
Well, might as well just get it out of the box, mightn't we?
Right. Okay. It's a world's first unboxing. Well, an untubing rather.
Well, I think before I untube it,
Yeah.
maybe it's good to answer the question why. Why have we made it?
Okay. Yes.
And I think really it's because we've made the ST49 for the Super 6. Super 6 has been around for a little while now, maybe 5 years.
Yeah,
5 years, almost. And it's very much of a sort of workhorse of an instrument.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes it's like your old car gets an upgrade or something.
Nice.
It gives you a new kind of reason to get engaged with it. And so the keyboard upgrade was sort of all part of that. But also, I don't know if it's the same with you, but sometimes if I just get a new pair of headphones, it makes me want to go into the studio and do some stuff. Even though it's nothing, it's not even related to like maybe exactly what I'm doing at all. But expanding and sort of getting more life out of what you've invested your money and for me, time into.
Well, I mean, I was fortunate enough to be like from the beginning of the development of the Super 6. I would occasionally check in with you and you'd give me a few updates and we would have a little look at things, and that was really thrilling to sort of see this beautiful instrument come into reality. And I remember fairly early in the process I was going, oh, can you do polyphonic aftertouch? And the option really wasn't available, was there? The key bed that now didn't exist.
Right. You couldn't buy it. This sort of Fatah keyboard, this one's actually special. It's made specially for the Super 6, which is why we've basically run out. I think we've literally got, I could count them on my fingers how many we've got left. But it's really been really successful. People have really taken us up on it.
Yeah.
But the keyboards were one-off for this instrument. So that's unfortunately.
But I suppose why I thought that was quite an important thing back then, and why it's so good that now it's come to pass, that I think it just.
It wanted it, didn't it?
Yeah, because the synth, the sound, each of the voices is so rich and articulate. So just being able to feel that, because there are the 12 analog filters inside here. It feels a shame to not have that.
The thing is with Poly Aftertouch, so I don't know if you've been playing around with it, but actually, you've got 10 fingers in theory. It's nice to have independent pressure over all of them, but actually it only seems I can do my pinky pressure.
Yeah.
And I can do my thumb pressure.
Yeah.
Or I could do this hand or this hand.
Yeah.
Or maybe actually some sort of learning exercise to individually articulate fingers is maybe going to be good and help me in later life.
Interesting idea.
Cognition. A bit like the keyboard learning tricks that you can do to practice your finger skills. Yeah. Maybe there's something with Poly Aftertouch.
I think for me, being like bass player and a guitarist, where you can apply a bit of vibrato or a bit of expression on with the fingers and stuff, or if you like, if you're playing like a chord and you're holding notes down and you just add a bit of vibrato on one of the notes, it just feels all that more musical, and
interesting. Does this? Okay, so this has got the aftertouch mapped to a sort of swell, like a brass type swell.
It's nice.
See that?
Yeah.
Subtle, but it's funny how the aftertouch makes you want to wobble your finger. But actually, It's interesting, the wobbling of the finger does actually help you to gauge the pressure articulation as well. So, you kind of like, you're rocking backwards and forwards, helps you feel the upwards and downwards pressure.
Yeah. It's just, I think the joy I get from it though is just, that, like, it's quite subtle. It is quite a subtle thing.
Can be. You could make it extreme if you want.
Go on, then. Make it extreme.
I don't know what we would do in that one. Would you? I think actually you can pitch the aftertouch up with this.
Yes.
Maybe we have to. So there, you could do octaves if you want.
See. Yeah.
There you go. So you can squeeze an octave and see if you can actually play a note with the pressure of your fingers.
Yeah.
I think when you first try, it's quite difficult. But
I've been doing
a little bit of finger training, you'll get there.
I play a lot of fretless bass, and and there is this thing of like just sliding until you hit the right note, or playing theremin or something. You get it.
You get there eventually.
Yeah, really nice. So we should mention then, there was a firmware update that was made specifically for the Super 6 to make the Poly Aftertouch a mappable parameter.
Mm-hmm.
So for people maybe who haven't got that, what can you do? How would you do that? How would you then change the Poly Aftertouch?
So for people that haven't done it already?
Yeah, or for people who would be, going, well, how are you going to actually utilize this Poly Aftertouch? Because
in a patch.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So let's start with patch A1.
I spend an extraordinary amount of time with this patch. I love it.
I like the way the release tails. It starts to do more interesting things the longer you hold it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anything that was mono aftertouch simply is now poly. So if I just... I can swell that note, or I can swell this one.
Oh, I see.
So there's no difference. It's almost there's no learning curve apart from the actual finger dexterity. So whereas before you have uni pressure, which to be fair is, in my opinion, satisfactory for 90%. Maybe 90%. Maybe it'll be 80%
it just
soon,
feels
and I'll
more,
get used to it, and it'll be 70 and 60. But
for me, it feels more alive, though. It feels more akin to one of my acoustic instruments.
Sure.
I don't know. It just feels and again, so in a subtle way.
Mapping it here, I would say that also for the majority of things that I want to do, I could just do it here with my left hand. Mm-hmm. So, for example, if we put the LFO into sort of on mode, then these two just adjust the amount of cutoff swell. See, I'm adjusting that slider. So if I play a chord, and this one just the pitch. So maybe if we maybe something subtle. Yeah, you need little bends, or I don't know. Then you could get into the mod matrix. You could get it to sort of, I don't know. I was listening. Who was I listening to? Alex Ball just did something on his Patreon with the Gemini. He's got a Gemini at the moment playing with it, and he's always gravitating to like, I'm going to deep cross modulate, and I'm going to ring modulate that, and I'm going to bring this audio rate, this, that, and the other, and he's always making these like really off the wall sounds that I don't know if somehow when I made I made that patch or something, I always gravitate towards something that's very kind of mellow, mellow and creamy. But for sort of complex modulations, you can do all sorts on the little matrix here and get it to bend the delay times.
I really venture into the matrix because I find I've just got such a lot of things I can do without going there. It's nice to know it's there.
Try to think about it like a triangle. I mean, let's be fair, it's one of the biggest criticisms I think that we get as a company, which is like, I can't, when I've got like lots of matrix routings, I can't pick them apart to disassemble the patch. And I think it's a very valid criticism because it's a compromise, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I sort of like to think about it like a triangle. Like if what's immediately available does the sort of, in the 90% on your hierarchy of needs, and then the next level, which is your 8x8, does your next 90% of the 10%.
All right.
And then the last bit gives you the kind of 90% of the 1%.
Gotcha.
And you sort of go immediacy and visibility sort of kind of gets more towards the bottom of the triangle, less towards the top.
What I remember though, in the early stages, in the design stages, and I remember you talking about the decision to go without a screen and also there isn't any pickup mode on this, is there? You change a parameter and it immediately jumps to it, which I know for some people they would prefer it to be a pickup. But you were like going, no, you want to, when you touch a parameter, it immediately is live. That was a design decision again, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that is definitely one of the things we'll revisit, because I've been playing around with actually an old Tektronix oscilloscope, and oh god, I could go right down a rabbit hole here. I might need to stop.
Go ahead. No, it's all good.
Right. At the end of the CRT analog era, there was a short period where oscilloscopes had analog CRT displays and analog trace hardware, so that the trace was like a nice analog thing, but they superimposed digital readouts onto the CRT. So you had like early digital type features like infinite storage, blah, blah, blah. And also kind of analog style CRT phosphor tracers. Now, Tektronix, in my opinion, have gone a little bit awry recently with their technology, and others are doing it better, but they were the absolute kings of the oscilloscope, and they brought out this range of oscilloscopes in the final generation of the analog oscilloscope before it went all digital, and they were a bit naff for a while, and now the digital ones are great. But their last final range of analog oscilloscopes had knobs still, like potentiometers, not endless encoders, still had knobs like the old-fashioned ones, and they had this really interesting warping mode, which was like a kind of super intuitive scale warp. So it would kind of immediately pick up from wherever the control was, but somehow it would like dynamically readjust and warp the scale in such an intelligent, intuitive way that you never realized that you were using a potentiometer. So I'm playing around with that at the moment. I've yet to get something I'm really happy with. I think pass-through's a little bit crude.
Well, because you were saying...
relative can be crude if you haven't got really super intuitive scale warping.
Right. Because
we are working on it.
Well, this is the thing that you say, and I just thought it was really interesting, though, because making certain decisions based on... You wanted like it to be immediate, that everything is like a kind of... everything... You touch something and bow, it reacts. Something happens. And it's, I can see how some people like in live performance may find that a little bit, it might jump a little bit, but I don't know. I think you'd probably, if you're using it in like live, you'd probably have it figured out. Or something we talk about, actually, there is a manual switch, flick it into manual, and then the synth is what you see is what you get. And to do that thing, hold shift, hit manual, and then you get your init patch. But the thing about just, if you were going to be playing live, it's hit manual,
build the init patch yourself. And when you get to learn these instruments, it's very, very quick to like get patched. Like that sort of, don't know what we're listening to here. I think we could probably build that within a good 30 seconds.
Yeah.
From basic elements.
Yeah. I was saying to you before the start of the stream, I very rarely actually ever save anything. In fact, I don't think I've saved it. I did originally, but when I turn this on, init patch
I've got
every time.
I've got a Juno 106. I just bought a Juno 106 because I just, something about it that just appealed me for a long time.
I mean, that is like a super immediate, isn't it?
I've got to tell you, I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. I mean, it's limiting.
Yeah.
The envelopes sound a little bit plasticky. But as an instrument, the way that the control surface is all there and it's super limited, it's like a single LFO, but it's like because one of the reasons I wanted it was that I liked the bit of flat space where I could put some pedals because it's got a bit of pedal space.
Yeah.
So I've been trying out a few like little pedals to put on there, and like having the two as part of the instrument. I love how quickly you can go. Okay, string patch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, an instrument there that's 40 years old, but people are still taking it, like session musicians and stuff, still taking it around. Jazz players, like
very
new
popular
jazz, is very popular. And I think for that reason, because you can't stop in the middle of a jam, say, oh, hang on a minute, I've just got to go in and stop everyone. Okay, yeah, all right, carry on, and get back into the groove. You know, have everything right there, being able to do it. I think almost in some ways, the Super 6 even is still a little bit complex, I think, for a lot of like activities. But then again, I don't know. Then again, it's nice to get lost in things as well.
Yeah.
So life's full of compromises. It's really hard.
Just to say, any questions? We'll take some questions in a bit, but please, for the live audience, if you can do that double queue onto questions, then that'll help me. I've actually not been looking at it at all, but we've got a nice audience here. Thank you so much for joining us live. If you are watching it live, please don't forget to like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff, and click that stinking bell if you want to be informed when I'm streaming live, which actually now is going to be much more regular. So that's I'm paying now for it, so I'm going to make sure and speaking of paying for things, any tips or anything, yes please, would be really largely happily received, because it's costing me money to do this, so yes. Okay, so I think the untubing.
Should we untube?
I think so.
Kind of sounds a little bit dirty.
Oh, hang on, what's happened to us? Have we frozen? Hopefully we're not frozen. Can anybody in the chat room just sort of just see if we're... Are we frozen? We are frozen. Oh. Look at that. They didn't like me saying that. Okay, let me see if I can just bring us back on. How frustrating, hey? Horrible camera. Okay. I don't know why this is. I don't know why that is. Weird. Okay. We're back. Okay. Thanks everyone. Thanks in the chatties for helping us out there. Don't know why that was. Okay. Curious. Okay. We're good. Just, yeah. Because that was a tease. We were just to do some untubing, and
we went on a really big segue. The first question was like, posed myself as why do it? Well, because we want to basically expand this, and it's not just for our instruments as well; it's for other people's instruments.
Well, okay. Well, we'll come back to that. Just one moment though, first, before we do the untubing, it is just something to mention that the second big synth from UDO, the Super Gemini, has this ribbon controller.
It does, yeah.
And also it had the Poly Aftertouch has the Poly Aftertouch as a standard.
It's a different key mechanism actually. This one,
okay.
Substantially bigger and longer.
Okay. But so in a way, it's quite a nice evolution, isn't it? Sort of the Super 6 to the Super Gemini.
I mean, let's face it, it sucks when somebody brings something out and you say, God, Super 6. But actually, the Super 6 is still so practical and so nice. And bringing some of these features back from our flagship and say, right, well, you could get them for the Super 6 as well. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I like it. I like being able to do that. And we're not finished here. We are not finished here. So we got more fun for people that have got 6s and 8s as well. Anyway, can we untube the darn thing?
Let's untube it so we can.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the other thing. Why would we do it? Because I think one thing what I think UDO is quite good at, and that's making really nice hardware, like really nice physically designed things.
These things are made,
something's built to look nice and to feel nice and to respond nicely.
Well, I remember you telling me, you saying you want like you're saying about the Juno, 40 years old. You were talking about you wanted these things to be still used in 40 years' time.
And I want it to look like okay when it's scratched and it's dented and the paint's flipped off and I've got
a mini scratch on here now. Here it is though.
Ryan Sanders, a Fender. I've seen the state of your one inside and out.
The less said about that.
All I can say is tut tut tut.
Okay, so there was a question there.
Actually, no, I'm going to stop. We're public.
Ryan Sanders. Okay. Question: how much is the ribbon? Well, actually, Ryan has answered 207. Is that right? I didn't look at that.
You've got to add VAT to that, so it's 250 quid including VAT.
Okay.
Oof. So yeah, and here's the thing, and hopefully, if I don't know, obviously you can't see it very well, but
I can get close-ups on.
The little camera on here. That works. It's a very nicely engineered item. It's made from a solid piece of milled aluminium.
Oh yeah, this is
And you've got some die-cut backing here. It's got a mag base on it. Ignore the fact that it says UDO here. It shouldn't. It should be the other end. But also, we've made it fully serviceable. So there's screws under here that take the mouldings off. There's screws here. You can actually detach this cable. Every single part of that can be replaced.
Lovely.
So if you hammer this thing to death, or you rip the cable out, you get a new cable. And any part of it, the actual ribbon itself. So, obviously you can bend the actual chassis, but I mean, it's a good 8mm thick. So it's a pretty good weapon if you want to defend yourself.
Can before we attach it, can I just have a little feel of it, just sort of to get that?
Kind of looks like a sword, doesn't it?
It does.
Maybe we should also. It could be a good neck for a keytar. If we just.
What's that?
Don't. I've seen that video. Yeah, I know the one.
Vorhaus, David Vorhaus.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. That's.
That should be there. We'll have this is obviously a prototype.
This is a prototype, yeah. So in terms of, I mean, this is imminently shipping, is it? It's going to be available in December.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
we're just making sure that it gets put in the box properly.
So I just wanted to feel it myself, though. It's a quality. This is you can feel it's like a quality made. Yeah,
I think so. I think that's another reason why. Because this is what I like to do. It's what the people I work with like to do. Just like to make things which like earn their place. So if you put this down, you feel like it's a part of an instrument. It's not like it's not an ill-considered bolt-on.
Right. Well, please may I be the one to attach it.
Yeah, watch your fingers though, because those magnets They're strong.
Okay, so
figure out where you're going to put it, because you won't be able to move it afterwards.
Oh God, you can feel it just leap.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's it. No, you're not moving that.
Oh God, look at that.
The only way you can move that is by you have to lift it off. You have to get your fingers, lift it off, and then reposition it because it won't slide.
Oh. Wow. God.
The last thing you want is to try and slide your fingers around on it and then and it move, or the synth go.
I feel that. Oh my God. Okay. That is like...
Yeah,
oh,
look, the whole table's wobbling rather than rather than that. But yeah, that's
wow. Okay, that is that's amazing. Okay, so I'll show with the camera here because I think something if it isn't obscuring the lettering, or maybe a little. I guess
yeah, you can move it south a little bit,
tiny bit south, but
yeah.
But
I think for the ergonomics, you kind of want it as close to the keys as possible because you want to be able to hold a key and then articulate it.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. That does make sense.
We're not going to be articulating much without it plugged in. It's not wireless. But
okay, so there was a question earlier. I think I just saw, which I think this will actually is it MIDI or CV? It is a CV.
So it's actually a passive device at the moment. So it mimics an expression pedal. So that's why you plug it into the expression pedal input on here. But anything else, it works like a passive device essentially. So a bit like the treadle pot on an expression pedal.
Yeah, sorry that I will do a little video of at some point. The this little gadget from Loopop, the +3. Is it another way of utilizing the expression pedal input?
Absolutely.
In a very different format.
What you'll find that this one does is it's like it'll jump to where your finger is. So it's like an expression pedal will do that.
Yeah.
And then you'll take it from where. So if you take it from the bottom, that will smoothly slide it up.
So, like I mentioned, you just sent through some. You do need a new firmware in order to use this.
Because for the UDO instruments, it has intelligent pitch control. Okay, and what that means is it essentially uses the MPE type capabilities so that you can articulate individual notes. So that's quite an important point. So with our instruments, it works in an intelligent manner. So you have to set it into that mode, but you only have to do it once. So you hold down pedal CV at power up, you'll see a little disco flash, and then every time you power the instrument up after that, you'll see the little disco flash.
So you only have to do it the once then?
Just do it once.
Just once, and then
if you ever want to go back to using standard expression pedal, it'll always work for the matrix anyway, but to remove the intelligent pitch controls, just reset global settings by holding the manual button 5 times, like you would if you want to change your transmit receive MIDI settings or anything.
Little question from Ryan Sanders.
Yeah.
Can I use my Super 6 as a tray to store my knurlies if I get the strip fitted? So pulling out your key bed and then just using the knurlies little...
What on earth is a knurly?
Let me get a knurly out for you. They're little screws for holding in Eurorack.
It's just terminology. It's all new to me, Gaz.
Knurlies.
Oh, they look like pellets for a...
I've got
air pistol. Knurly.
There it is. So you can kind of take in and out Eurorack modules without needing a...
And what does Ryan want to do?
I think to do away...
He wants to use it to pick up the knurlies that are falling in. Because you could do that. You could wave it around and just pick everything up.
I think you would mean you could just do away with the keyboard. Although he's got
keep that?
You can have an early, yes.
Thank you, because I learned something today. I'll take it. I'll show and tell. I'll take it back to the lab and say
So Bafaco, the wonderful Barcelona-based Eurorack manufacturers, it's the thing that they make.
I love it. It's nice, very nice.
And it was funny. I was talking to Manu from them, and they say they get the thing machined, so that's easy. But all of these little washers are put on by hand.
Has it got a little washer on it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so it does.
So all those little washers are hand put on.
Yeah. Never, never. Nice little thing.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Oh, he was saying, does a Super 6 become magnetic? Well, I mean, there we go. If anyone who is under any doubt about what this thing is made of, steel.
It's made of steel. Well, actually, it's only the top panel that's steel. Everything else is aluminium.
Ah.
So you make the top panel steel because you want to get the wet paint finish on it rather than the powder coat. And also that you want to use CNC welded studs on the inside. So steel works really nicely for a nice strong top panel. And then to balance that with low weight, make the rest of it out of aluminium. And you're not so worried about powder coat finish on the bottom and sides, which is much more hard wearing, but not as aesthetically pleasing.
Oh.
So it's a combination. You choose steel, aluminium, powder coat, wet paint.
Okay.
Different processes and parts. But when you just look at it, it all just looks blue. But it's all different, different metals, different reasons. And the finish on this RBN matches the finich on these keyboard side protectors as well.
Perfect, yeah. So let's hear some examples.
So if I hit a note here, can you hear that sounding in the background?
Yeah.
So they'll ring out, but I can bend these. So I just bent from a minor to a major. But it doesn't bend the tails.
So this is that intelligent. This is what we're talking about with the
and you can do trills. So if I play.
Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that. Yeah, I like that.
Really different. You contrast that, for example, with Bender. It's crude. I mean, sometimes that's what you want.
That is nice. So do like, and then so you went.
Yeah. So and it's asymmetrical as well. So if you watch it this way, up is 1 octave, but then when you bend it down, it goes down 2.
Cool.
Yeah. So let's mix in a bit of. I don't know, maybe another waveform.
It's kind of, how does it know what not to bend then?
So it works really well with an expression. It's not an expression pedal. It's a sustain pedal as well. So let's say if I put hold on, hold some notes. So they should just be being held in the background. So it knows that I haven't got my hands on them.
I see.
But now that's being held, I can add another note. So it's kind of it's much more subtle and kind of articulate than you might imagine. You want to just try running your finger along it and also feel it. It's incredibly slippery.
Yeah.
We spent a long time making it really very slippery, and it's a completely custom sensor for us as well, which is designed to have a very, very light pressure.
Yeah.
And also be very, very slippery and about finger sized. The other stuff that I could find just wasn't there. So we worked with a manufacturer, two different manufacturers, one with this thing, and I was like, it's not slippery enough. And they were just like, what? I swear the guy was almost cursing under his breath trying to talk to me, but now it works, you know?
Yeah, so like those very subtle, even just that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we, and should we slide some power chords on it?
Yeah.
I'm not sure we're going to do it with a, whatchamacallit?
Oh, there was a question that came in. I thought it was quite an interesting one. Totally irrelevant, but I'll put it up anyway. Thomas John is asking, he wants more musical references from George because you made him discover Add N2X, which
Add N2X,
fantastic, love them.
The album On the Wires of Our Nerves is the thing. I would not have made this. I would not be sat here. I would not have got into electronic music. I would not have done anything until I heard on John Peel the actual title track of that album from Add N2X, On the Wires of Our Nerves. And it just really set me off on a rabbit hole. I really, really deeply enjoyed that.
That's cool.
Man, I'd have to rack my brains for some musical.
Well, thank you, Add N2X. I love this. I might have missed some questions. So, stick around though, chatty. So we will definitely have a more focused question and answer session in a bit. So apologies if I have missed anything. So straight away though, we're using this for pitch.
Yeah.
Could we use it for filter?
Yes, you can. To do that, you map it into the modulation matrix. Now, what we're going to have to do, unfortunately, to do this is this one's only set up to do pitch control. Now, when it's released, we're just tidying this up. You'll be able to switch between the two, but at the moment you have to turn off the pitch control. So the way it works on the Gemini is that when you map it through the modulation matrix, like to anything that pedal CV comes into, then it disconnects it from the intelligent pitch control. It just takes over.
Yeah.
But on this one, it's one or the other at the moment.
Okay.
We're still working on it, I'm afraid.
That's cool. No, that's cool. I was just anticipating that people might be interested in that.
You'd use the modulation matrix here, so just choose pedal CV. Let's see if we map it to cross mod. I don't actually know what will happen. I think we might have to disable the pitch control by resetting the settings. Whoops. Let's turn off the arpeggiator. Yeah, it's disconnected from them. So what we might have to do that is reset the settings, which we can try doing. But then it's going to run a filter auto tune. It might take a minute or two.
Let's leave it. I was anticipating people might. So okay.
So it works in the same way, in the same relative manner. So you just map it through the ordinary matrix, how you'd map a modulation on the instrument. Yeah. And if it's another instrument, if it's another manufacturer, you plug it into. However you map the expression pedal on that is exactly the same as how you map it on this. But of course on this one, it's got an intelligent mode how it maps it because it's relative. So when you put your finger on, that's 0. So you can pull the modulation one way or you can pull the modulation the other way. On a third-party instrument, it will be
the center.
If I put it, it will go to halfway. Or if I start here, it will be at 0.
So
on and so forth.
Have you... I mean, obviously, there's the steel top of this, the space that there is for it, it goes on there like it's meant to be. Have you actually successfully attached it to any other keyboard from a different manufacturer?
So we could try it here. You need one with enough space on it.
I haven't really got another one here.
I guess I'll try to liberate it from here. Blimey. I
haven't really got. I've only got little ones.
It's actually quite sturdy, by the way. I don't know if you can see. It's difficult to see how thick it is, but it's thick enough so that it doesn't bend. You know, it actually plays.
You could have it on your knee, couldn't you?
Plays pretty well on your knees as well.
Okay.
Mapped in here. Yes, we've mapped it because we've mapped it on the matrix. It's disconnected it from pitch.
Right,
so exactly like Gemini does, but it's
So just to reiterate, then, this isn't quite shipping, but hopefully within.
Within a couple of weeks, we should have these ready to go.
So some of this stuff is still just being tweaked.
Yeah. Yes, but it's particularly that you have to switch between modes at the moment. So we've got a little work to do there.
Actually,
I'm quite enjoying playing this on my
on your lap.
Yeah.
Go on. Let's give a bit of a rare lap shot. I love that intelligent pitch thing though. It is fantastic.
Yeah, it's more natural when you play it than you imagine it might be.
Right. Straight
away it gets you playing with it. I'll pop it back on here.
Oh, this satisfying.
Where do you want it?
Hang on, I'm gonna just. Where do I want it? Just hang on. Let me just.
In the middle or to the left or just get there.
I suppose you probably would want it. Oof. Ka-junk.
That's it. Because what's quite nice there is this is just above the keys.
Yeah. I'd probably have it. I think I'd probably have it right as far over here as you can get it.
Oh, up to the top end.
Well, I don't know really. I don't know because it would be nice for sort of bass slides. Nice. So I reckon what we should do now is move on to the next phase. Actually, first of all, for the live chatties who are watching the show live, any questions about the ribbon controller, please, now would be the time to ask those questions. So I think what we'll do though after that then is bring in some Nightverb.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. And then
sounds great with a reverb. Doesn't have a reverb in it, but when you put it on some nice cans or some nice.
Well, I remember when you came here last time and we put a nice reverb on. It's just like, yes. So
I did actually get a nice reverb just recently.
What you get?
It. Got a pedal actually. It's the UAFX.
Oh yeah, really good. Those.
Golden reverb.
The golden reverb, yeah, lovely.
Really, really nice. It's a really nicely made thing. I'm not so keen on the big tool knobs, but the actual it's really well made. Chassis, sound is excellent. Yeah, it's great. It's really great. It's got it stuck on top of on that empty space on the Juno 106.
That space you're talking about.
Loads of fun.
So it is quite interesting. I'm sure you'd know a lot more about it than me, but with the advances in DSP, I mean, reverbs, like say if you take sort of classic Lexicon from the 80s or whatever, where you'd have almost like a mainframe, like a big computer thing, and then you'd have a remote for the controls, because you needed serious money for a big digital reverb back then.
Yeah, not anymore. You get really powerful little chips. I mean, I think that like what's inside that box, I wouldn't be surprised if it's powerful enough to host a plugin. You know, like a kind of plug-in DLL sort of VST type thing.
Well,
that powerful.
I mean,
interesting question here. I just noticed.
Okay, let's have it.
It was about does the Nightverb have an expression pedal input?
Do you know, it has a foot pedal input. It doesn't have an expression pedal input, but it can.
Okay.
But it does.
As in a foot switch input.
Yeah, foot switch. Yeah, so you could use it, I guess, as a bypass or.
But not like an expression.
No,
input.
but.
So that's a good point. This ribbon would work with pedals that have expression. I've got a.
Yes.
Another pedal that I use for. I've got a guitar at home. I do play guitar, by the way, badly. But I've got a little amp simulator.
Yeah.
And it's perfect for me. I love it. Little Roland IR200 works amazingly, and that actually has an expression pedal input in the side of it. Is this one for me, Gaz?
Yes. Oh no, this one doesn't. This one has a remote switch. This is the Cosmosis from Pigtronics, and that's a corking little reverb. That one. It's nice, quite simple.
Nice enclosure.
Yeah, and really nice pots on there. This. Oh, I tell you, it's all wired in behind me, but the Ventris from Source, I think that one does have.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what the question is quite put up is that something like a ribbon like this, of course, would work with anything like that pedal, that kind of thing as well.
Yeah, so that one might be quite a cool one to use it with, because that's a good one. The Ventris, that's like and that's like two completely separate reverbs that you can then run in series or parallel. I think you can do them but ooh, I tell you, this one. This beast.
What am I looking at?
Expression input. This is the Plethora from TC.
Yeah.
Well, actually, each one of these, they've got this like mash as they call them.
Just giving me a good idea, actually.
I
just thought about something. I thought one of the things that makes it work so well with the UDO instruments is obviously we've designed it for a relative mode for the intelligent pitch control. I'm just wondering whether you could actually do some sort of magical virtual impedance type circuit, so that you could actually plug into a standard expression potentiometer treadle pot type input and actually have a little box which allows you to have relative mode.
Well, I always see to go
idea.
relative.
Do you see what I mean? It fools the impedance somehow. I don't know.
Well, some of them they have that you can change the resistance on them to make them, and some of them let you choose
start and end.
Yeah. And then on something like this is like a multi-effect, and you can have that expression sort of do anything really on the whole thing. So yeah, quite interesting to think about. I'm just wondering.
It's easy to miss the fact that gear, like you say, has these extra inputs for foot switches and expression pedals, and actually it's quite useful, having something to plug into.
Just having an idea. What would happen if you put it on the bottom frets underneath, and if you took off the top few strings, whether the frets are magnetic? They should be, I would have thought. They should be steel frets, I would have thought. And then stick it on. And
yeah. I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't actually stick, but I suppose it depends where the magnets are, where they line up.
We stick it on, and then we try to get off, we end up pulling all the frets out.
Yeah,
because they're so strong.
I'll let you do that offline, I think, when I'm not here.
So, anyway, we digress.
Yes,
just checking, any questions? Oh, 2 questions came in, I think. Hang on, what was that? Okay. 2 questions. Super MIDI issues fixed? What issues are you talking about?
Is it capable of working with Hertz volts? volts hertz. I'm not quite sure what we're talking about with MIDI issues, but the volts hertz. That's like a it's like an old standard. Now volts per octave is very standard for analog gear. Volts hertz. No, I mean actually the mapping is exponential, so it's volts per octave.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that. I'm not sure what you mean by the super MIDI issues fixed, but I mean it's. All of the synths are all receiving fairly regular updates, aren't they? So I don't know what issues particularly that you might be talking about there. Maybe if you want to let us know what you mean. But
MS-20 is hertz volt. Yeah, Korg synths used to use it.
Yeah,
I think actually for little old school rabbit hole. Hertz, volts or volts per hertz is really, really good actually for analog synths in the early days of having like MIDI or polyphony, if you've got accurate enough DACs, because a lot of the sources of tuning drift in analog circuits is actually in the exponential converter that converts volts per octave for things like filters and oscillators.
Okay.
If you've got volts hertz, you need an exponential control scale of volts to actually make it track. However, the circuit itself is a lot more stable. So if your source is very, very accurate, like say for a digital source, actually it's the better technology for analog circuits.
I didn't know that.
And it's sort of, you don't see it because hertz per volts. We look at the Eurorack world, look at
all hertz,
the Moog world and the 5U module. It's all volts per octave. But actually, should it be hertz volts, and for digital control, you might end up with more stable things. Because it's exponential converters that's still to this day quite hard to make really temperature stable and accurate.
Oh, okay. That's...
both in scale and stability.
Okay. Right. So let's have a look at the Nightverb then. So let's think. Do you want to make a patch from scratch or use one of
patch from scratch? I like that. I like the rhyming nature of it. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to manual.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull every switch to the bottom. I'm going to put it on sawtooth waveform. Every switch down, cut off, up.
When you go to manual, what happens to the modulation matrix?
It just clears all the.
It just clears it all. Yeah.
So
it's kind of what you want.
In theory, this should have. Okay, I forgot to zero thing, but we got.
Oh, we got a little bit of delay. Yeah. Okay.
There you go. Nice.
Yeah. This reminds me of like way back years and years ago when I'd go and see you in the laboratory, and it was just the breadboard and the little oxygen controller, and then you'd be showing me.
That's in VeraBoard.
Right. Yeah.
Copper strip board.
And then you'd be showing me, not going into polyphonic. You just want to get that voice.
The envelope's got to sound right.
Yeah.
And the sort of, I don't know, there's just something you have to get right. And the very basic single, no processing, because just the sawtooth has to sound right on its own. Because then everything you add, complexity.
We brought the Medusa along. Do you remember that time? Brought the Medusa along, and we just tried it just in comparison, just in that really stripped back, and it just sounded just so much richer and lovely. But okay, so let's get something. So, like, one of the things then about the Nightverb, I think maybe the thing that is most unusual about the Nightverb is the fact that it's a single algorithm. So I mean, you've got presets in it, but everything's based on the same algorithm, and that makes for it's an incredibly flexible algorithm, but it's a different approach. Normally, like the other, like this one, you've got the theatre, the Temple and the Cosmos, you know, so there's like 3 different algorithms in this little one. But
God, so I mean, we've obviously not made a reverb, but I think that would be my approach, a bit like the synthesis. I'd try and make something which, rather than switch a program, had some kind of, you know, just like this, so you can move into the position.
Yeah, basically. And I think that's what makes this quite special. So so let's bring it in. I'll just centralize all of the controls on here. Here we go. And then we'll just start. Let's give just a little.
It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah. So this is just, again, really just everything's here. Look, with this one, this huge control in the middle is the size. So it goes into this infinity space. Yeah, one of the cool things with this though is actually we could plug MIDI into it, and when you can freeze the buffer, and then
that's nice.
You can
bend it.
I'm pretty sure that this foot switch input is just a switch and not a controller input. Otherwise, it'd be really fun to use the ribbon control to control this size. You see, like, if you change the size control on a normal reverb like that,
Very nice, isn't it? It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, but you can't change the size normally.
Yeah,
on a reverb,
like that.
Without getting horrible kind of glitches going on.
Yeah, and it's nice the way it invites you to adjust it, doesn't it? As that large thing in the middle.
Yeah, it's really is just showing. Play with me. You got a stereo control, so you can actually make it go super wide, and then auto mono.
Like that. little bit of reverb, just a little bit of finding a bit of space between the notes.
Here's a cool thing. When you, I might just do a little close up on here. When you change the presets on this thing, you can choose like how it, because it's not changing algorithm, it's just changing the parameters. So when you change, hear that nice sort of bend, then you can set, like when I choose a different preset, you'll see a little progress bar, which is, yeah, so there's a little progress bar. So when you change the patches, so you can hear all the parameters kind of change. There's a lot of sliding going on.
Sliding going on.
Yeah. That's the longest you can make it do it. Oops. It's if the Nord has an expression pedal input, it's going to be compatible.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can use it. It's a passive device, so it's really as simple as it can get. You won't have this intelligent pitch control that you have with these instruments because it's been designed to integrate. But should they decide, oh, that's a fun thing, why we should do that on our one?
Yeah.
There's absolutely no reason why they couldn't do it. But I obviously, as it stands, it would behave as if you were putting your foot on the pedal and, moving the pedal up and down like this.
Which, I mean, and there's a lot you could do with that.
Yeah.
What I noticed with numerous effects pedals, they let you, like the Eventide one will do this, for instance, is that you can kind of like have the expression pedal like a macro. So you can have it affect multiple parameters, or basically a little bit like I was just doing there, going on presets and then it morphing to the next preset. You can have it morph between two complete states. Lots of effects pedals actually do that. So when you use the expression pedal, you're not just changing a single parameter, you can be changing multiple parameters to exactly where you want them to be. Like, as I say, the Eventide one's great for that. So, so you can. So with things like that, it'd be fantastic then, because you can customize on the effect side of things, and because this is just like passive with no attenuators on it. But I'm guessing as well, though, you could plug that through where I've got one somewhere, a little no HP attenuator, and then just attenuate the analog signal.
Remember, it's passive, so you'd have to put 5 volts on the end of it somewhere.
So, I thought it would just act like a resistor, though. It would just.
It does act like.
So it would just make it less. It would just be a weaker amount of transistors.
You'd have to put a CV on the top of it, and then it would essentially, you could tap off the CV. You could actually make it work like an attenuator.
Okay.
So that would be a half. Of whatever you put in.
Yeah.
3/4. We are planning in the future to make some little gizmos for it. So you can use it in different scenarios. So there will be, at some point, watch the space, but there will be a little standalone MIDI thing as well.
So
like a little USB plug.
Okay.
So that you can plug this in, and it will actually.
You're onto something really special with this. I know ribbon controllers have been around since almost the beginning with synths, but the uptake
it was a factory standard that you could get for the Mini Moog.
Right.
I was reading Kim Bjorn's book about the Mini Moog, and it's like,
But how often did you see that though?
It did happen occasionally, and they have some pictures of it.
Right.
The ribbon looking rather tatty, but it's one of those things. It's like some ideas were just quite good ideas back in the day, but people sort of forgot to develop them. You know, and I think it's a bit like analog instruments as well. We've got very many analog instruments at the moment. I think even still, many of the designs essentially. Designs which stopped getting developed in the kind of like early 80s, the things like the filters and the oscillators and the chips, but we are seeing new chips, new IC designs from companies like Sound Semiconductor and Alpha in Latvia. And there is, you can still build on things.
So and you mean like kind of analog chips then, or sort of?
Yeah, I mean, I just picked that as an example to say, ribbons have been along.
Got you.
You know what hasn't been along is such durable technology. That someone has made the like slipperiest substance known to man.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like that didn't exist.
Oh yeah, I mean.
Now my fingers, it's quite warm in here, and they're a bit sweaty, basically. But there is not a single thing. And you know what that technology was developed for?
Go on. Touchpads
on laptops.
Right.
That little thing there that you slide your finger around.
That's
exactly the same. It's the same material. Well, it might not be exactly the same material, but it's the same technology.
Right. Yeah, because that's super slippy.
Yeah. Yeah. And the technique of sort of flexible printed circuit boards, essentially, which is what makes the sensor. The overmoldings for the cables, this little overmolded cable thing is really nice. It's completely replaceable. If you ruin it or whatever, it's a cheap replacement. No problem. And it's just.
Now there's something that might be difficult to see. I'll try and get the camera in a moment though. Is that there is like a ridge on the middle, as opposed to it being completely flat. Now that ridge for me,
it's very important.
Yeah, I was good. Right. So. Okay, let me just let's see if we can get that ridge into the shot here, because it. Can we see? Will we be able to actually? I don't know if we'll be able to see that ridge.
No, it's quite subtle. It depends on how you catch it with the light. You can feel it more than you can see it.
Yeah. But could you explain the sort of the rationale between that? Because I mean, straight away, I mean,
it's so you can figure out that your finger is on the ribbon.
Oh, okay.
So you rather, if you didn't have it, you would slide off the thing. If you weren't paying attention, if you weren't looking what you were doing,
you can make it out a bit
slide
there,
off,
I think.
But you can feel it under your finger. So actually, naturally, you just kind of like find the middle, basically.
Yeah. Well, how good is this synth?
I quite like the kind of close reverb on that, like a small room, like you're playing it in a.
You go really small with this. I think it goes to a tiny box if you come here. Cool. Well, I think if the next stage of the show tonight. See, like, yeah, you'll hear the size change now.
Yeah, I quite like that. I quite like the closeness, the concrete cement box vibe like that a lot.
The tone controls on this thing are good though. They go super stereo, super bright. Crank the feedback up. Ryan was around here a few weeks ago, and we were talking about this reverb, and he was going, oh yeah, no, reverbs are always a set and forget thing for me. I find a nice reverb.
Yeah.
I said, oh no. He had a little play with the headphones on with this, and it was like, yeah, okay, this, yeah, it's just, yeah, it's a lot of fun. Reverbs are not normally fun. Delays, super fun. Reverbs are normally a bit more like the kind of...
The controls are a bit more subtle usually on reverb.
Yeah. Right, well, the next bit that I've been really looking forward to now, this is going to be, I'll just use a little of this for a moment, but I'll probably won't, is, here we've got the Oxy One, which is, for me, this is the greatest sequencer that I've ever used. And the reason why I'd say that is that if you can think about something to do with a sequencer, this can probably do it. Now, the way I'm going to do this is you've got 4 tracks on the Oxy, but each track can be one of like a bunch of different types of tracks. So when the track select, we can have it as like a mono track, a poly track, a chord track, a multi-track, a stochastic track, or the meter seal. Now I won't go into these tonight too much, but I'm going to go to the chord track because we're dealing with a lovely poly synth here. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to combine these 2 modes, the chord mode and the stochastic mode, because I think this is quite a fun thing to do. So if I was to, right, so we're just running it completely blank at the moment. I think, sorry, I will get the camera in on it a little bit, but we'll just, I'm going to put in some chords, and I'll just do a really, really basic. So George, your job is going to be, your job is going to be make these sound lovely.
So I'm on it.
So we'll get like a chord sequence going. Now, on the next track, I'm going to have the next track set up to be a matriceal mode, not matriceal, a stochastic mode. And where this becomes quite fun is you can think about this being the root of each chord, and then on the vertical will be what the likelihood of that note is to play. So if I put this up, we'll get so as every time the chord changes, or not, you're going to get them playing. Now if I do something like this, I'm going to do something like this on here now. Combining 3 different types of sequence all at the same time.
Oh, so I can actually play over the top of it and bend that note.
Yeah.
So let's try that.
That's it. Yeah, that's cool.
What chord key are you playing in?
We're in like C minor. I'll put it A minor if you want.
No, this is fine.
And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change a few of the chords as it plays. So because the other tracks are told to harmonise from this chord track, changing the chord track changes all the other tracks to harmonise. Change the rate. This is so like a pretty manic chord change now. Slow this chord change down so it changes every bar. Again, I can change the flavour of the chord. The scale is in a minor, so we go all major now. Lydian. I wonder how the voice stealing's working if our polyphony with so if the release tails are like long and but then there's more MIDI, more notes are being wanted than notes are kind of holding on.
Sort of rotates.
Rotates,
so
yeah.
It works on a system of the oldest.
The oldest,
note.
yeah.
The oldest note to be released is the one that gets stolen first. So I'm turning all the releases up to max. It's actually getting the oscillator. It's really fun, this thing.
It's good, isn't it? But it's also just... It sort of shows one of the things as well about the Super 6. It's hard to make the Super 6 sound bad.
It's quite easy to make it sound interesting, at the very least.
Needs multi-timbrality. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, with a little bit of reverb as well. It's like, I mean, I dare say, like listening to the Super 6 with a little bit of like a nice reverb on it does make me think. You know, quite a lot of the time you're hearing it like naked. You know, and it's like. It's not that there's anything wrong with that, but it does add a little bit of something to all synths, doesn't it?
Yeah, but often I think the synths reverbs tend to be just like an amount of a reverb without much in a way of control. So I think if you're going to have reverb, that's nice. If you're going to have reverb though, I mean, having one that is so shapeable. Yeah.
I like the way this has got such a large range of notes. You've got some right up here and some right down there.
Yeah. Because we've got three different sequences running at the same time, all following like kind of different rules. So I can mute I'll mute just so we just got back to the chord sequence. I'll bring in that. Let's bring in this running sequence now, the one that goes. You've got this nice facility on here that you can duplicate the sequence, so it'll double it. So like on the second page, let's just make it run. Put a stochastic mode back in, which is going to give us where a lot of the crazier melody elements are coming from. Sounds really great in the highs, the Super 6, doesn't it? That's that
the FPGA.
Yeah.
Because like we're used to hearing things that are digital that work at like audio sample rates, like hundreds of kilohertz as you hear them. In theory, of course you can't hear, but there are always like other artifacts. There are always other things you can hear, and there's something the way about
There's a purity in the top end on this.
Yes, I think so. It's got a kind of air, it's like a top end air.
Yeah.
And well, the oscillators they're actually like hardware digital, I suppose is how you describe it. So they're actually built from like hardware structures. I know an FPGA is. Oh God, sometimes I bore myself. I have to stop myself sometimes when I'm in the lab, and I'm like, oh God. But yeah, you actually assemble a circuit in an FPGA like you're wiring up logic chips on a circuit board. So imagine like early digital oscillators might be like chips that you wire up. You might have a counter, and then to the counter you connect up like a register, and then that might do a like bit shift, and then you might have a comparator. That's essentially how you build things on an FPGA, which is a bit different to how you do it in software.
And you're saying then, because like a normal DSP chip would have a fixed architecture that you have to write code following the very strict rules of that fixed architecture. But like say the oscillators on here, like at some point down the line you could completely rewrite the oscillator kind of
you could make it sound really very different.
Really different.
Yeah. So it's like software defined hardware. That's the best way to describe it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So a few weeks ago I had Eric Schlappy on my show, a fantastic guest, and his 3-body Eurorack module has FPGA oscillators, and similarly has a fantastic top end. It's like the best of both worlds, really, isn't it? I think.
I think for digital circuits in music, I think they're yet to be explored fully.
There's not many. I mean, I was mentioning that about the Schlappy 3-body because other than that, this and the Summit from Novation and the Peak. Yeah. I don't know of any others, but I mean...
they're out there. There are people doing it. Also, they're used under the hood as glue logic and all sorts of things to perform functions. They're out there increasingly in all sorts of things.
I'm getting distracted by how nice and wet and blippy this is sounding.
Yeah, I like it.
So I think we'll be coming to the end of the show. So, any questions now from the... Oh, there is a question. Question from Ryan Sanders. Can you make a... I think he wants this oscillator in Eurorack. 20 HP.
QQ, Ryan said, George, can you make a Euro complex oscillator in 20 HP? Isn't 20 HP like...
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I'm not an expert. About that.
Okay.
Ish.
Well, I haven't got any plans to, but I can see how it might have utility. I think there is definitely stuff that can be done with sort of standalone stuff with FPGAs that doesn't need to be a big instrument.
John Bryan's overactive mind right now. I'm quite blown away with what I've witnessed.
Oh well, that's hopefully in a good way.
Yeah, I think so.
I really love the creativity of this little thing.
It's superb, isn't it? So, but I mean, I think the whole combination is, and with the reverb, this is sounding rather lovely. But I mean, it's also quite curious hearing it. Oh yeah. Oh, go on. Let's go into real space territory now. Let's drop this tempo right back. We are now at...
I like riding the feedback control on delays.
28 BPM. Yeah. I'll crank the feedback up on this as well. Because this has got a stereo enhancer, and with the Super 6 being really stereo, if my dry wet mix was around 50, half and half, and I made the reverb in mono and made the Super 6 very stereo, that would be sort of like an opposite like opposite what you'd do logically.
You've already lost me again.
Oh, don't worry. Maybe that's a good reason to call time.
I mean, this is what these things are for, isn't it? I mean, you know, not like maybe some people are lucky to make a life in music from the day to day, but like for most people, actually myself included, until very recently, you know, such a good way to just lose some time, to like yourself. You know, have some creativity, make some nice sounds, really enjoy, make some stuff, record some stuff if you want, or don't, just enjoy. Really.
I mean, here's a real grim point now, but I was reading something today about how the revenue that you could make on tour. I mean, I've been a touring musician for most of my adult life, or certainly, you know, for quite a while. And now, I mean, it's probably a little bit different in the States, but in, you know, like for British musicians and touring in Europe, and just to actually make a profit is really, really difficult. So you go on tour, you end up out of pocket. And in the past, record sales might have kind of buoyed up the parts, and the, you know, if the tour was a loss leader, your record sales would make it up. Well, there's no record sales now, so record sales have been, or rather musicians have been relying on the live part of things for their income. And then with that all sort of becoming really complicated and hard to make money from. I mean, there's the famous story of Kate Nash recently is saying, you know, she started showing her bum on OnlyFans and is earning more money from that than she is off her tour. Well, she's doing that to kind of supplement the tour, because, you know, I mean, I don't know what her bum is like, but surely it's not that good. I think there's
material there for a whole different episode. Yes.
But I mean, I'm going to swing this around to a positive though, and picking up from what you said though. I think that, you know, growing up and being a musician, and people always asking you, oh, you know, when will we see you on Top of the Pops or the equivalent, you know, that making music is for some reason, for some end game, to perform live, to do something, as opposed to what you're effectively saying is
that's a byproduct of our sort of industrialized society.
Yeah,
where actually you're doing so much good in your life just through the actual process of the creativity itself.
Yeah, spot on.
You are actually solving other things. You're piecing together little other parts of your life, maybe things about your relationships or your work or whatever, when you're doing this kind of thing. It's how the mind works.
Well-being, you know? And just feeling a sense of actual, calm or whatever it is. But, and I suppose what I was kind of making...
made me think of Superhands from Pete's Show.
Yeah.
A deep sense of dread. The longer the note, the more dread. So you never know, maybe you don't want to feel calm, you want to feel deep dread.
Feel
I'm pretty sure
dread.
There's a note for that as well.
Oh, I find that note all too easily. But I think just to turn this around into a positive, I suppose in a way though, I mean, there are still possibilities to have careers within music, but, you know, having, you know, things like this are empowering really from,
on a really positive thing. I think music is a lot more fun now, you know, in many ways. Like you're empowered to, like, you don't necessarily need to be a sort of, you know, trained pianist to be able to make great sounds for a piano-like instrument. You can have like recording technology at home that was unthinkable for the generation before. Like the empowerment has gone hand in hand there, and it's incredible. And I think something to be celebrated. And, you know, not only just the empowerment of sort of, you know, at the point of use, but also think about, like, around here, think about how many manufacturers we've got here of Eurorack and things like that. And empowerment, you know, there's so many things to celebrate in music technology.
Oh, I completely agree.
It's always a mixed bag, and, you know, I think humans are very prone to thinking about the doom, when actually sometimes it's good to stop and go, do you know what, I just had a really good time for the last hour or two. I don't know where it went, but, you know, I didn't hurt anyone, didn't spend any money. Maybe to begin with.
I just bathed in deep joy. Just amazing. But then also the industry itself, and I'm sure you'll have experienced this over and over again, especially at places like Superbooth or maybe a Machina Brastronica, an incredible sense of community and support from other manufacturers, and a surprising lack of bitchiness, and everyone just seems to be incredibly encouraging of each other. And I think it feels very, it feels like a very healthy industry to be part of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Certainly my experience of it.
Absolutely. Well, took me a long time to come round to getting into music technology through the various other things, but very, very happy.
Yeah,
quite enjoy being here actually in the around first time, and enjoying. Yeah, I might have to get myself one of them.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, so I think we'll call time now. So if you were to want a last question, it would be right now. But thanks everyone so much for joining us. It is really lovely to have a live audience, especially such a lovely one that we have had. Of course, this stream will be up for everyone who doesn't watch it live, and equally, thank you for watching that. Please consider subscribing and liking it. I'm gonna be doing a lot more live streams, and George, I'm hoping that you will come back on the show on a future date.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
why not? Had a bit of fun today.
Yeah. So anything so right, we'll get him back. He's going to be back, everyone. So yes, but thank you, everyone. Thanks so much. So. Any last questions? I think we've probably called time now, so maybe that moment of questions has passed.
Hi, Grace.
Yeah, we got some lovely people here. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Yeah, Mr. Spoon, and Tom Curtin, who was a guest here 2 weeks ago. So Wednesday night, probably 8ish, maybe I might do it a little bit later, I'm not quite sure yet, but much more regular live streams from me. A question there for George: UDO gear in some music schools? Hopefully, would be good.
I would love to get more of a presence in an educational context. I think these lend themselves really well to play and experimentation, but also learning and sort of very familiar techniques. I'd love to see more of these in educational contexts, and obviously we'll do our best to accommodate.
Where is all that coming from now? Because that's not from here, and that's not running.
That is the ghost in the machine. Yes, that's the ghost in the machine.
Okay. Thanks everybody. Amazing. See you soon. Bye.